Hello, Dexter fandom. I think our prayers have been answered, and we have now entered a parallel universe where Dexter keeps on giving, and we keep getting more and more Dexter the more we ask for it. So let's keep our prayers up and let's keep asking, and hopefully, the Dexter gods will continue to provide. So far, I'm enjoying Dexter Original Sin very much, and so far in episode 1, we got the confirmation that Dexter Morgan is alive. Dexter Morgan survived the gunshot to the heart by Harrison. Clearly, Harrison is not as effective as a killer as his dad is, so we know that Dexter's alive. We know that he was rushed to the hospital at the end of New Blood. I think Angela found Harrison and Dexter's body, and she gave Harrison some money to flee the crime scene. And I'm assuming that now Angela got either backup or put Dexter in her own car and got him to the nearest emergency room where he was, hallelujah, resuscitated. Does this feel like a money grab? Potentially. Does this make no sense at all whatsoever and feels like just another attempt at reeling us back in? Most definitely. But am I excited? Am I here for it? Absolutely. I am cautiously optimistic, again, because of what happened in Dexter New Blood, and I think I'm going to have to make a video just analyzing and providing my reaction to the whole season of Dexter New Blood that I just can't wrap myself around quite yet, and I haven't gotten myself to be able to rewatch it since it aired because I really disliked the season. I felt disconnected from Dexter, and I struggled with a lot of the sloppiness in the writing and the flagrant issues that kind of unfolded throughout the season. But anyway, that's a different story. So I wanted to come on here and talk about my theories for Dexter Resurrection. I haven't seen anyone talk about the theories that I have in mind, and I'm really, really shocked because some of them are somewhat based in what happens in the books and are pretty obvious to me, but I haven't seen anyone talk about the theories that I'm about to talk about. So first of all, there was a theory circulating early on that maybe we're going to find out that the last episode or the last 2 episodes of New Blood didn't actually happen and were dreamt by Dexter. We know we can scratch off that theory because we know now that the gunshot wound actually happened and that Dexter ended up being rushed to the hospital and he got resuscitated at the hospital. So we know that theory is not plausible anymore. I also heard a couple of other theories of where the character arc can go for Dexter, and I scoured the internet for all possible theories because as a fan myself, I wanted to hear something that would kind of get me excited about the season. But I really haven't seen anything that got me excited about it as much as the voices in my own head. So I've seen a couple of theories that were pretty much redundant in every single video and article that I read about people kind of speculating on what would happen in Dexter Resurrection. The first kind of main theory would be that Dexter survives the gunshot wound and he somehow manages to escape, and then he's on the run for the entire season, and we kind of see the chase between the FBI and Dexter or Miami Metro or whatever it is. I mean, it's going to be, they're still in New York, so it's going to be the New York Police Department or whatever it is, chasing after him for the season. So that's one of the main theories circulating out there, that he's going to somehow manage to escape, and we're going to have to watch Dexter kind of figure out how to rewrite his life and refigure out a new identity and skip down and start over somewhere else. A lot of people are very excited about a confrontation between Dexter, Morgan, and Captain now Batista. I would love to see that as well. I think that we really wanted to see it happen in New Blood, and it didn't happen. It was really disappointing that we couldn't get the 2 characters. We couldn't get that revelation that we got with Deb when she found out that Dexter was a serial killer. We couldn't get that relief with Batista. I still kind of want to see that. I want to see that play out and see the interactions between them, but it doesn't really serve the plot that I have in mind very well. The other theory that I saw circulating on the internet was that the FBI or the CIA or some sort of a government organization would recruit Dexter because of his expertise as a serial killer and would have him as kind of like an expert witness of some sort, or an expert, just a subject matter expert, to provide some information or help them solve some cases that haven't been solved. That's also a theory that I struggle with for many reasons. I mean, Dexter has committed many crimes. As a therapist myself, I would want to think that the FBI or the CSA would, or the CIA would resort to recruiting someone who is a trained professional, and there's no shortage of those in the country, who can actually provide some expert opinion on certain cases and help resolve the case. They don't need to recruit a serial killer to use his expertise, because I'm sure there's so many other well-trained experts who are not serial killers who can do pretty much the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So it just doesn't make sense. It would again be sloppy writing. It would again be kind of like a forced plot, because it's not very logical for the FBI or the CIA to do something of the sort. So now on to my theories about what should happen in Dexter Resurrection. And honestly, in my opinion, the only theory that needs to actually happen in Dexter Resurrection is, one, I want to see a character from the past come back, someone who has a very strong tie to Dexter and someone whose life Dexter saved. So I want to see someone from the past, whether it's, I don't care, take your pick, whoever actor is available to do the role. I understand that there's a lot of limitations when it comes to availability and all of that stuff, but you have such a big pool of characters who can come back and play this role that I have in mind. So it could be Hannah. It could be that Hannah either faked her death, so because she couldn't handle, especially after we found out in Dexter New Blood that Dexter got sloppy one day and sent a letter to Hannah letting her know that he was still alive and all of that stuff. So either Hannah was really angry with Dexter after finding out that he was still alive and faked her own death so he can face the consequences of his actions, and so Harrison has to find him and they have to have the confrontation and all of that. So she either faked her own death, or Harrison is in on it, that they're pretending she's dead so he can go and connect with his dad. So Hannah can come back very easily if the actress is available to reprise her role. It could be Hannah. It could be Lumen. We know that Dexter saved Lumen's life and helped her out for so many reasons, so she could come back and repay the favor. We know that Dexter is in a really, really, really difficult pickle right now. So my theory, or what I want to see play out, is somebody whose life Dexter saved comes back and helps him escape from the hospital. So that's one of my theories, that either Hannah, Lumen, it could be Esther or Cody too. It's not unlikely that Harrison had contacted his siblings. So by now, it's possible that either Esther or Cody or both of them have some information that Dexter is still alive, or some level of knowledge that he is possibly still alive. So maybe Esther or Cody come back to reprise their roles and help Dexter escape from the hospital so they can have them to themselves and have that one-on-one confrontation with him about him being the reason for their father's death, their mom's death, and their life going up in flames entirely because of him. I don't want to spoil the books for anyone who hasn't read the books, but they go on to their own character arcs in the books as well. And that goes into my second theory that I'll talk about in a little bit. But I really like the idea of somebody coming to help Dexter escape from the hospital with their own agenda in mind. So whether they help him escape from the hospital and then they help him continue to be on the run, or they help him come out, escape the hospital so they can have their one-on-one confrontation with him and have his fate within their hands. So that's one of my main theories. And this could be Hannah, this could be Lumen. It could also be, it could be Batista. He can go haywire and go off the book and just take Dexter for his own reasons. It could be Detective Quinn coming back and having a one-on-one confrontation with Dexter. He has a lot of reasons to do that. Mainly that there was no body of his girlfriend / potential fiance to bury for him because of Dexter. Or it could be Aster or Cody coming back to have their one-on-one confrontation with Dexter. So any one of these characters, and potentially others that I can't think about right now, can come and help him escape from the hospital and then help him be on the run. And then potentially they can reconnect with Harrison down the line and figure out a way to go from there. My other theory is a little bit unorthodox, maybe a little bit darker, and gives us a little bit of a thrill, I think. Gives me a little bit of a thrill to think about, is while we know that Dexter made it to the hospital, got resurrected at the hospital, maybe we skip to like a week later, and Dexter wakes up in a room that kind of resembles a hospital room, but is not a hospital room. And right away he realizes that he's strapped down, and right away realizes that he had been kidnapped by someone who took him from the hospital to a different location where he is strapped down to a hospital bed. They're still caring for him, so they're still supplying whatever IV treatment he needs to get better, but now he is under the mercy of someone. And it takes us a while as an audience to figure out who that someone is. Maybe later on, maybe in a few episodes, we start to kind of put the puzzle pieces together as Dexter starts to put the puzzle pieces together. And we find out that it's either Aster or Cody, or maybe both of them teamed up. And then we find out that this whole backstory, that Aster and Cody, one of them, both of them, any combination of the two, had ended up kind of racking up a criminal record of their own, because they had a severely traumatic childhood, and they experienced a lot of displacement and trauma. So it's not unlikely for one of them, or maybe both of them, to become criminals themselves. So my idea here is, Dexter is resurrected, and then he's kidnapped by Aster or Cody, or both of them, who we find out later that they also, one of them or both of them, or whatever combination of actors they can get on board, ended up becoming serial killers themselves. And they had no idea that he was alive until he was everywhere on the news. And now they have a confrontation to have with him, and they have some beef with him. He was the reason their dad died. He was the reason their mom died. He was the reason they got displaced. He was the reason they had a pretty traumatic childhood. So it's not unlikely that Aster or Cody, or a combination of both of them, turn out to be criminals, serial killers, whatever it is. And then once they find out that Dexter is still alive, he's all over the news, now they have to come back because they have many bones to pick with him. And so we see Dexter kind of struggling to figure out who kidnapped him and why he's in somebody's basement and why they're taking good care of him, but why he's also strapped down to his bed. And then we slowly but surely figure out that it's either Aster or Cody, or again, a combination of both of them, who had a pretty terrible life, pretty traumatic life with Dexter, and ever after Dexter disappeared, and are really, really angry with him and want him to suffer and want to have a confrontation, a one-on-one with him, and want to torment him. And then the plot can go from there, where we see Dexter struggling to kind of reconnect with them, trying to escape, trying to manipulate the situation to his favor. And there's so much that can happen from there. Maybe they either try to make amends, or he tries to make amends, or is seeing kind of the repercussions of all of his actions. Because I really need them to bring back Aster and Cody. They played a huge role in Dexter's life, and it's a really lost plot if they don't bring them back, or if we don't hear about anything about them for the rest of our Dexter experience. So there's opportunities here for the plot to develop in many directions, where either Dexter's trying to make amends and he's really kind of experiencing the repercussions of all of his actions now that he's seen that Aster or Cody turned out to be a serial killer because of him, and now he is on their table, which is more poetic than Harrison, if you ask me. But also maybe Harrison kind of finds out and tries to rescue his dad, or maybe he teams up with his brother and sister. There's so many opportunities from there, as long as these two characters are involved and we see Dexter really come into terms and come face to face with the consequences of all of his actions. So let me know what you think about my theories. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear about your theories. I'd love to hear what kind of theories you heard on the internet that you connected to, what theories you didn't connect to. As I said, I didn't really like any of the theories that I heard on the internet, and I really like the idea of someone coming back from the past to either help Dexter escape from the hospital, and then we see Dexter having to make amends with that person and having to recreate his life and himself, or that someone comes from the past like Aster and Cody to make Dexter's life even more difficult and more miserable, and to have him really face the consequences of all of his actions and try to weasel himself out of there. Let me know what you think.